You are listening to the Waking Up to Purpose podcast with Lily Badcock in association with lilybadcock.com. What if every challenge you've ever faced was for a purpose? What if every perceived failure was in fact you stepping ever closer to the life you were born to live? I'm Lily Badcock, and I'm here to let you know that you were born with a divine purpose in your heart. And you're here because you know that's true. The process of awakening can be tough. Fired up and inspired one minute and then overwhelmed and lost the next. I've created this podcast to share with you every aspect of my own journey to purpose, as well as the stories of others who have walked the same path. Fear and doubt can place a lot of uncertainty in our minds, but here's what's true. You are needed. Your story matters. Wake up. Rise up. Together we can. Hi guys, welcome back to the podcast. How has your week been? I've seen all over social media this week so many people talking about how their anxiety has resurfaced or it's worse than it normally is. And for me as well, this week has just felt heavy energy-wise. I have no idea why. If there's anyone out there that's an expert on the effects that planets can have on things like that, then, get in touch. Maybe we'll do an episode on it, because I know that can be a thing. But it is not anything that I can speak confidently about. So for now, all I can do is talk you through how I have approached this week, off the back of realizing that I was in that kind of energy. Because I feel like there's always an element of disappointment when, and it usually comes after you've been riding high on the wave as well. So there's usually an element of disappointment when you realize that the good streak you were having, the time that you were having where everything felt easy had come to an end, and you're back at this point of feeling like your anxiety or frustration, overwhelm, stress, whatever label you give yours, it's just that recognition that, oh God, it's back again. Have I really got to do this again? And I know it can be very common to feel, yes, disappointed, but also like you've somehow failed. There's often this element of, oh, I've let myself down, or, all the good work that I thought I'd done, all the stuff that I thought was working maybe hasn't worked. Then you can get into thinking, what's the point, yada, yada. And so I wanted to address that this week. I wanted to talk about the ongoing relationship that I personally have with anxiety. And by the way, can I just address something? So quite a while back, I was speaking with a coach, and I think they were giving me some feedback on some copy that I'd written for, it might have been a page on my website or something. And I can remember them saying to me, don't call it your anxiety, or don't refer to it as your anxiety, because it's not yours. And energetically, you can make it yours by saying that it's yours. And at the time I took it on, right? I took it on and was like, yeah, no, that there's some truth in that. And I think maybe that there is still some truth in that. Certainly if you feel like it is yours, and if you feel like it's a huge part of you that will never be gone or that will never be better, I can certainly see how changing your language around that might be helpful. And so I did. I changed the copy, whatever it was that they were advising me on at the time. And I can't remember what it was now, but I do remember that I changed it. And so I started calling it the anxiety. But as time has gone on, two things have happened. First of all, I've realized that actually I have detachment from it now. I can call it my anxiety and still realize that it isn't mine. Like, it isn't something that I'm stuck with. It isn't something that is constant. It isn't something that's going to have power over me. It isn't something that I have to worry about. So in that respect, it isn't mine. But, on some level, it's my struggle in the moment. In the moment that I feel anxious, it is my challenge to face. And so I almost think that by refusing to call it yours, you're almost detaching from your ability to overcome it. You know, by calling it the anxiety, I totally get where this person was coming from. But for me, calling it the anxiety it feels like a lie, because in the moment that it's having an effect on me, it very much feels like mine. So I think what I've taken from this is actually it doesn't matter what you call it. It doesn't matter if you call it yours or whether you refer to it as something completely separate to you. I think what matters, as in all cases, is the energy that sits behind the language that you're using. So it doesn't feel restrictive to me to label it my anxiety. It just feels true. And by calling it mine, then I feel like actually I am empowered. I have the power because it's something that's mine, and it's something that I can, you know, look at from a new perspective, through a different lens. It just feels better to say that. For you, if it feels better to detach from that, then that's what you should do. And I just think, you know, there seems to be this culture now of people, and maybe I'm doing it through this podcast even, but I'm willing to throw myself in the ring with this as well. There's just an enormous culture of people who are trying to school others in how they think, how they speak, how they act, what they do. And I get that in so many cases that comes from a good place. In so many cases that comes from the desire to help. It's often based on something that's worked for that person and they feel passionate. This is definitely me. So, you know, you've been through something, you feel passionately about helping other people come through it. I just think it's really important, though, to recognize that not everybody is going to resonate with the labels or the way that you choose to word something, or the, you know, the names you choose to give something. And energy is everything. So I think, you know, this has brought me to a point that I didn't even know I needed to make, but here we are. It's brought me to the point that as you're going along your way, and as you're calling on the help and support of other people, programs, courses, books, whatever, never forget that you know you best. So you can take somebody else's advice, or you can hear what their advice is. You can listen to their story. You can absolutely read, you know, how it went for them, and, you know, learn about their processes, etc., etc. But at the end of the day, you can still trust what is inside of you. Even if you feel completely lost in this moment, you can still trust your gut instinct. And if something doesn't feel true for you, or if something doesn't feel good or right, then you don't have to do it. Now, I want to caveat that by saying sometimes we will kid ourselves and we will say, oh, that won't work for me, because we are stuck believing that we can't be helped. So I think I want to caveat that by saying, you know, do trust your intuition. Obviously, take what works for you, leave what doesn't, but always keep an open mind. And I think if something is giving you a big energetic charge, either through excitement or resistance, pay attention to any kind of energetic charge, whether it feels good or bad, because that is usually something to look at. So if you are being advised, for example, to try something, or, you know, to change your wording or whatever it may be, pay attention to how you react to being told that. Reacting in a negative way doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. That's the point I want to make. You know, if I said to you right now, all of your problems would go away, you'd be absolutely in alignment, out of overwhelm, the anxiety wouldn't plague you anymore, and you would feel purposeful every day, as long as you can climb a mountain every morning and meditate for half an hour. Now, for a lot of people, they would hear that and go, I don't know how that's really going to fit with my life. I don't know if I'm going to actually do that. And, you know, and other people might get angry and be like, well, it's all right for you if you can climb a mountain and meditate, but I can't do that, blah, blah, blah. I'm just saying, pay attention to the reaction you have to it. if your reaction is coming from any place of, I fear I couldn't do it, like I actually think I would like to, but I fear I couldn't, that's a good opportunity to look at that and go, but maybe I could, and give it a try anyway. But if your resistance is really just coming from, yeah, I just don't think I need to do that, or I don't feel led to do that, then you can trust that. I feel like I'm on a bit of a mission at the moment to re-empower people for themselves. I'm all for collaboration, and I'm all for leaning on each other for support. I absolutely love to do that. There's never a time when I'm not in some kind of program under some kind of mentor. So I'm a huge advocate for self-development and spiritual growth and leaning on other people and their experiences to get myself there. But I did learn a lesson a long time ago that it's going to work a lot faster and be far more effective when you sign up for this support from an empowered place of recognizing that you on your own are already enough. And that if you are signing up for a program or for some support or whatever, it's not because you can't manage on your own. It's just that you recognize that collaboration will in some way, speed up your progress or enhance your experience in some way. So years back, when I first came into this world of self-development and an online business, I would sign up for lots and lots of things. Free things, paid things, one-to-one things, group things, do-it-yourself things, all the things. And I realised, when was it? I think it was in about 2017. I realised that quite often, not always, but quite often, I was signing myself up from the belief that if I didn't get that program or if I didn't work with that coach, then all hope was lost. I really wasn't putting any faith or trust in myself. I really had quite a low opinion of myself, and I had a very low opinion of my ability to pull myself through whatever challenge it was I was facing at the time. And it was only when I had that realization, and that was as a result of working with my current mentor, Katrina Ruth, who I've worked with for years now, because Kat is one of those coaches that actually empowers others. She is one of the rare few who absolutely sits in her zone of genius and shares her experiences and her wisdom and everything she's learned, but she does it while picking you up off the floor. She doesn't leave you lying on the floor going, well, you're probably always going to be on the floor, but here, let me throw you some things that might help. Nah, the first thing she does is scoop you up and go, do you know what? You can stand on your own 2 feet. You are strong enough to do that. And so I've known for a very long time that I want to be the same kind of coach. I want to be someone who can immediately empower the people that I'm working with, whether that is privately, one-to-one in my groups, or even just for people that are listening to the podcast or coming on my live streams or whatever. I want people to know that who they are is amazing and powerful. And I want them to know that absolutely I can help, I can share what I've been through, I can tell you what worked, I can tell you what didn't. But all the way along, I will also be reminding you that you have it in you already. You can do this. And if you decide to take another step towards working with me or whatever, then great. But I would just ask that you do it from an empowered place. Don't sign up to work with me because you think that you can't get by without me, because that is not true. And sadly, there are still plenty of people in the world who would have you believe that without their book, course, program, coaching, whatever, that you're just going to be lost forever. But I feel like there's a new wave of coach, there's a new wave of leader coming forward, and the new wave of leaders, the new wave of change makers and thought leaders and coaches are the people who start by picking others up and saying, you have got this, you absolutely have got this, and I'm here to support you if you want, and here it is over here. So first thing to take from this episode is, at no point are you hopeless, at no point are you unable to move forward. And so I can remember so many times in the past when I have felt stuck and I might have found something that I thought would help me, and then for whatever reason I haven't had the resources to sign up for it, or for some reason I've not been able to get the thing that I think is going to help me. And that would so often leave me feeling frustrated, and it would leave me feeling stuck, because I would think, okay, here's a problem I've got, there's a solution to the problem, but I can't get the solution because I can't afford it, or I'm not in that time zone, or like whatever the block might be. And then I tell myself that therefore I'm gonna stay stuck. What I want to encourage you to do is, whatever you're feeling led to at the moment, whether you feel like you need support or not, I just want to encourage you to start reminding yourself on a daily basis that you have what you need inside of you already. It's already there. And when you open yourself up to that belief, and when you open yourself up to those possibilities, you will start to see the opportunities to take a step forward, even if it's not the step forward that you thought you were going to be taking. So that's the first thing. So the other thing that I wanted to cover in the episode this week were just some of the things that I've done this week to help myself feel better and to keep myself moving forward. Because like I said, my anxiety felt like it spiked this week, and there wasn't any kind of tangible reason for it. I couldn't nail down why it was showing up, except for the fact that I've now launched the On Purpose Mastermind, which is the biggest ever offer that I've ever done. And there was definitely a heap of resistance around bringing this out, and around my ability to deliver it, around my ability to make it a success and to play at that level and all the things. And so I've really come to the conclusion at this point that perhaps the anxiety was just an upper limit thing. I don't know if you've read the book The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks, but if you haven't, I recommend it. And you can get it on Audible actually, and if you don't have an Audible account, you can get a free book when you sign up. So I'll put a link to Audible in the show notes, and if you want to check it out, you can. It's an awesome book, and he talks about the upper limit in there as being this like an unwritten rule about what we feel is enough for us to achieve. So you may have heard the terms energetic minimums and maximums before, and it's the same kind of thing. So it's basically this idea that you have in your subconscious, you have a kind of perception around how good life gets to be for you. And when your life starts to get close to that threshold, then self-sabotage shows up, and it might look like it's come out of nowhere. It might look completely coincidental, but in the book, Gay Hendricks talks about the fact that actually a lot of the time we are creating these things. It's a form of self-sabotage. It's like knocking ourselves down a peg or two. Like, nah, it can be good, but it can't be that good. And so, you're a little too happy right now, so we're just going to mess with that a little bit. So I highly recommend that you check out that book, but that's what I thought it came down to this week, because it's almost like I've felt my resistance. I've seen, all of my fears written out in my journal, and I can feel them. But then I just decided to take action anyway. And so what that's looked like this week is I've been showing up as a version of me who doesn't have those inhibitions, a version of me who doesn't have those fears, and who doesn't feel like she isn't worth more. I've been showing up regardless of those things. And so I really wondered whether the anxiety was just showing up to try and slow me down. And fortunately for me, I've learned over the years that just because I feel it, it doesn't mean I have to pay attention to it. And so, I wanted to share a few of the techniques that I used this week, and techniques I've used in the past as well, that might help you. So if you are listening to this right now and anxiety has got you by the balls, for want of a better expression, then perhaps trying one or two of these techniques may help you. It may even remind you of something you already knew. This is a big one for me because I'm a huge fan of self-development, and I've read so many books and done so many courses and, learnt so many things. At this point, it's never a case of not having the information, but quite often we don't feel like we want to take the action to get ourselves out of the feeling. So just sit with that for a minute, because this is so common with anxiety, but I think it goes unnoticed for much of the time. But it really is just this feeling of, oh, I don't want to go anywhere today. I don't want to go out. I don't want to get up. I want to stay in my bed and I want to wallow. And then what it actually looks like is having a list of things that are going to help. So you might absolutely know that going for a walk in nature will help you, or getting on the phone with a good friend, or listening to some music, or dancing around your kitchen, or whatever. But at the point you're feeling anxious, you will feel like you don't feel like doing those things. And you might even tell yourself, oh, it's not going to work, or I just can't do it. I don't feel like it. The minute you realise that you don't have to feel like it in order to still do it, then that's the moment everything is going to change for you. We are so led by our feelings, and we give so much power to our feelings, that this is where we get stuck. So the first thing I did this week was I just carried on regardless. I don't mean I ignored the anxiety. I definitely honoured how I was feeling. But I kept checking in. I kept asking myself, what's the anxiety about? What am I supposed to do? I gave myself time when I needed it. You know, I didn't try and push. But at the same time, I didn't kid myself that I had to drop everything either. I was fully aware that I had declared this week that I was in launch mode. I'd opened the doors. I've had people sign up already. So it's now moving. It's a thing. It's happening. So I was fully aware that all of that was going on. And so that is probably why I was feeling this anxiety. And so then I just asked myself, well, you know, do I feel like this isn't the right offer to put out? Is that what the anxiety is about? And I absolutely knew that that wasn't what it was. And so I carried on. I just carried on. So I did a podcast interview, I can't remember when. It might have even been 2 years ago. I'm trying to remember if I was pregnant or if Sophia had already been born. But it was with an amazing lady called Millie Metz. You can still hear the episode on the Confidence Academy podcast, and I will put a link to it in the show notes below. But there was something that Millie said in that episode, which was something that she does herself, and I absolutely loved it. And she said that she just has this short mantra that she says every morning when she wakes up. So when she wakes up and she sits up in her bed and she swings her legs around and goes to stand up, before she stands, she puts her hand on her heart, she closes her eyes, she takes a deep breath, and she says, every day, in every way, I am getting better and better. And then she goes about her day. And I thought that was such a beautiful habit to cultivate. Now, I'm not going to kid you. I don't say that to myself every morning, but I do say it to myself when I remember the mantra, because I love that it can mean all kinds of different things. If you are struggling with ill health at the moment, just imagine what a mantra like that could do for your energy, right? It's often not about magic. I'm not saying that saying those words would suddenly mean you're not ill anymore, but it will shift how you feel about being poorly, which is sometimes half the battle, if not the whole battle. So if you're in ill health, you can see how those words, every day in every way, I'm getting better and better, is such a powerful affirmation. But what I love about it is, even if it's not ill health, even if maybe you're early on in your business, maybe you've launched a business, or maybe you're in a new job, or you're a new mum, or whatever it may be, it's just an affirmation that you are going to become better at whatever the thing is every single day. So it doesn't have to mean you're getting better health-wise. It can mean you're becoming better at a job that you're doing, or as being a mum, as I said. You know, it can have so many multiple meanings. And I just thought, so often the techniques for anxiety and mental health can seem so overwhelming to people when they are in the thick of it. And that was just something that was so simple and so beautiful and so easily done. You could easily put that, if you have an iPhone, for example, you can change the name of your alarm settings. So if you go into alarms, you can go in there and click on the default. So there'll be a default alarm on there. So I'm doing it now so I can tell you. So you click on clock, click on alarm down at the bottom, and then at the top there's a little plus sign, and it will bring up an alarm. You can choose a time, and then where it says repeat, and it will say never on the setting. You tap that, you can choose how often that goes. So you could set that for every day. And then below that it says label, and if you tap that, it's called alarm, but if you delete that, then you can type in an affirmation instead. So what that means is you could set your alarm for, 7 a.m. or whenever you want to wake up, and the very first words you read every single day could be, every day, in every way, I am getting better and better. I just think that's such a powerful statement, and it really would fly in the face of any kind of self-sabotage, any kind of self-doubt, any kind of thought process you might be prone to getting into where you don't love yourself, you don't trust yourself, you don't back yourself. Because that statement, as well as all the other things it brings, is it brings you the ability to have movement. It's not saying every day in every way I get there, like every day in every way I make leaps and bounds. You're just saying, today I'm going to do a little bit better than I did yesterday. It's like a reminder to yourself, you're always growing, you're always learning, and it's beautiful and it's enough. So maybe you'll take that on. If you're going to do that, let me know, and I want to know what it does for you. Obviously, if that mantra doesn't resonate, there are a million other mantras that you can use. I will put a few suggestions in the show notes so that you can choose, but go ahead and have a go at making your own. A really powerful mantra will be one that you can energetically get behind. So this is another reason why I love Millie's, because, for example, if somebody decided that they wanted to improve their financial situation, let's say that person is currently on benefits, earning, the minimum amount every month, and they always run out of money and it's always a struggle. Having an affirmation on their phone that says something like, I am a multi-bajillionaire, money's easy and it flows. Like, I know that they are a lot of statements that people tell you to say, but the truth is, when you're really struggling, you are not going to energetically get behind a statement that says, I am a millionaire and money is so easy for me, because energetically you're just going to feel like, oh, no, it's not. It's really not easy. It's very hard. But a mantra that just says every day in every way I'm getting better and better, now that you can get behind wherever you're at, whatever level you're on, because from there you can just say, oh, well, wherever I'm at now, tomorrow I can be a little bit better. And the day after that, I can be a little bit better again. And so energetically, you can get behind it. So let me know what your affirmations are. Let me know if you're going to use this. And if you do use it and it helps, I would love to hear the feedback. So get in touch. You can always reach out to me in the Facebook group, Wake Up, Rise Up. The link is in the show notes. You can email me, lilybadcock@gmail.com. Send a carrier pigeon, whatever works for you. But I really love hearing from you. So that brings me onto something new that what did I do? I resurrected it. I was going to say re-resurrected it, which is probably the right word actually, because this is something that I have launched previously and I've done it several times. And then for whatever reason, I drop off. I stop doing it. But this week, with all of the heightened anxiety and with all of I just seemed to see so many posts this week from people saying they were struggling. And the longest time ago, I think it was 2016, I had this idea, and the idea might have even come before that, to be fair. But I had an idea to do something called the Daily Boost. And it's looked many different ways over the years. If you've listened to the Confidence Academy podcast, you'll find even some episodes on there called the Daily Boost, because at one point I tried to record Daily Boost podcast episodes that were just a few minutes long, with the idea of people being able to just, blast them on their way to the school run or whatever. But it was just so much work and I didn't plan it properly, and then it never took off. And then another time I made a bunch of graphics, and so for a while I was putting a graphic out, I think it was on Instagram or maybe Facebook, every single day, and again it dropped off. But I have not been able to let go of this idea of just giving daily little drops of inspiration and motivation, and just something that's really, really comforting. I actually subscribe to a mailing list called Notes from the Universe, and I love them. They're written by, I think it's Mike Dooley, But the emails are written as if the universe is talking to you. And they're so funny, they're so witty, they're only ever 2 or 3 lines. And I just love them. So I wanted something that felt like that rather than this enormous, huge, email or blog post that you have to consume. So all of that to say, the daily boost has been resurrected. Currently, if you're on my mailing list, you will have already started to receive these emails, but I am just going to set it up as something that you can subscribe to separately. So if getting a daily email is too overwhelming for you or not something you want, then that way you can still be on my mailing list but not get the daily boosts, right? So it will be a separate thing. So I will put a link out to you as soon as that's ready. You can sign up, and basically all it means is every day you'll get a very short email from me with a channeled message that I hope will help to inspire and motivate you and just help you to feel like you can keep taking those steps forward. So click the link in the show notes if you want to sign up for that. As ever, please share this episode with anyone you know who might find it useful. And I will be back again next week. Don't forget, the On Purpose Mastermind is now open for enrolment. And the people that are signed up already are absolute powerhouses. And I'm so excited for the community that is already being built under this umbrella. So if you haven't already seen, I'll put a link again in the show notes for you. There's an entire sales page on my website that you can go and read if you want to find out more about it. But essentially, it's a 3-month coaching program online with me, followed by 9 months of support and implementation in a mastermind setting. So monthly group coaching calls after the initial 12 weeks, and the ability to connect and collaborate with everybody else in the mastermind. So if you're interested in that, go ahead, click the link. You can get in touch with any questions. There are still some spots left with £600 off. So if you want to grab that discount, make sure you sign up soon. You don't have to pay in full. There are payment plans available. So if you would like a payment plan, get in touch and let me know. And final thing, I've decided to give away a few scholarships as well. So if the On Purpose Mastermind sounds like something that you would like to be part of or something that you need, but for whatever reason the financial commitment isn't something you can do right now, then you can ask a friend or family member to nominate you for one of the scholarships. So we're only giving a couple out. One has already gone, but it's my way of giving back, because like I said, there've been so many times where I felt that I needed support and I knew I needed the help, but I didn't have the money to get it. And it was so frustrating and it really felt like I was stuck. So if that's you, and if you read the sales page and think, oh my God, that would be brilliant if only I had the money, then you can apply for one of the scholarships. And I will be announcing those up till the 3rd of July. So after the 3rd of July, the scholarship applications will close until next year when we run it again. So that is it for now. Have a wonderful week, you guys. I'll be back again next week. Don't forget, you can join me at 8 p.m. every Friday in the Facebook group Wake Up Rise Up for intuitive guidance on the live stream. This week was an anxiety special and the replay is now up in the Facebook group, so you can go ahead and click on that as well and go and watch it. And yeah, let me know if you have any questions or anything that you would like me to help you with support wise. If you need an intuitive hit on something, then Wake Up Rise Up 8 p.m. every Friday is the place to be. Thank you so much for listening. I'll be back again next week. Mwah. Thank you so much for listening. If you'd like to connect with me further and the awesome community that this podcast is creating, then come and join me in my free Facebook group, Wake Up Rise Up. Every Friday, you can join me for a live Q&A in that group, and the links to do that are in the show notes for this episode. If you love the show, please leave me a comment and review on iTunes and share with anyone you know who might love it too. In the meantime, have an awesome day and keep shining. It's time. And here we go. It's time for a cheesy sign off. Thank you so much for listening. If you'd like to join me and my awesome community in our free Facebook group, Wake Up, Rise Up, go and check out the link in the show notes below. Don't forget, every Friday you can join me in that group for a live Q&A, and I also stream that on Instagram. All of the links you'll need are in the show notes for this episode. If you loved the show, please go to iTunes, leave me a comment and a review, and share with anyone you know who might love it too. And in the meantime, have an awesome day and keep shining. It's time.